Kevin, it's rolling, and I brought Kevin over here so we could do some discussion. He's got a story I want him to tell on video, and I'll just let him start with how it is. I want to hear the one, Kevin, about the bar, and I know there's a lot of stories about the bar, but the story I want to hear about the bar is the one where you're wearing the cowboy hat, and I guess you got pulled in and you were asked to acknowledge
self-incriminate.
Yeah, that's the story I'm looking for. The self-incrimination story about being in the bar.
Well, it was.
What year was it?
Well, it was the year we got 6 inches of snow on the Corpus Christi beach.
On Corpus Christi Beach. Wow. So Kevin I call Kevin the Texas Welder. Kevin the Texas Welder. So he's a friend of mine related to these Noker Chainsaws. That's how we got to know each other. These Nokers are bringing people together. And 6 inches of snow on the Corpus Christi Beach.
Yeah, it was either 2004 or 2005. I can't remember. But I was going to school. I was going to A school in the military. And they had these little cards where you would sign in and out on Liberty. So like if you wanted to leave the base when you're in school, you gotta let Daddy know that you left. So I'd go over there, and I was a little older when I went in the Navy, but the guys that I was going to, I was the oldest one there in the school.
24, right? Something like that.
And all the other people were like 18.
Yeah.
Some of them were 17. But so they kind of had to, they just got out of high school, whatever, they had to have rules on them, and, I was already married and had kids and a house, and it just wasn't, none of it made any sense to me. So I'd go over and play their game and try to sign out where their little thing never worked. So some kid, he was underage, everybody when they're, well, not everybody, but a lot of the people when they were, in the military, they all wanted to drink and have a good time, even if they were underage. So he missed his watch, and he went to a bar, and me and a couple of my buddies, we would go out different places or whatever, and they came in the next morning after all our.
Which bar were
Graham
they?
Central Station.
In Corpus Christi. Graham Central Station in Corpus Christi.
This is one of the bars, yeah. And they came in on a Monday, and the reason why is because the kid had missed his watch. He supposedly was going to pay somebody to stand his watch for him or whatever, but I don't know what happened. But he didn't stand his watch, and when they found him, whoever the chief was or whatever, when they found him, he was drunk, and he didn't stand his watch. So they came in there on that Monday, and like, I need to know everybody that left, blah, 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 all this stuff. Well, I didn't say anything. And
they wanted to know who was in the bar.
well, they wanted to know who had left to go on Liberty.
Okay.
And
To leave the base. To leave the base.
Anything.
To get off the base and go do something.
They wanted to know because they were going to figure out, they were going to blame somebody for this kid not standing his watch. They got to take down everybody. So.
But you had nothing to do with this kid.
I didn't even, the kid had just got there. I had no idea who he even was. And I never even saw him. But there was a bunch of people that, started, that told everybody, well, this is what I did, this is what I did. And like I said, that Liberty card reader didn't work.
The kind of like the time clock that you got to check in and out of?
Similar, but like, we were going to get paid. They wanted to, a way to control or keep track of whatever they were trying to do.
Scanner, right? Something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was like you had to put I don't know if you had to put your ID, I can't remember. You had to do something where they could tell it was you. But like I said, it was when they were doing this stuff like that, everybody likes to think the military's all up to date, but they weren't. This stuff was some terrible technology. And so I didn't say anything. I knew it was messed up. I had nothing to say. If you're saying I did something, go ahead and tell me. I'm not
But did
telling
you
you nothing.
did you know what they were getting at the time? Did you know why you were being asked?
No.
So they were just asking a room of people.
Yeah, they're asking a room of people like, hey, if we need to know who left this base at what time. And all I could think was like, yeah, maybe you do. Like, if you need to know it, you'll figure it out. I ain't telling you shit. And but what happened is like a bunch of followers went in there like sheep and told everybody whatever they wanted to hear. And they said Case was out doing, and Case was here, Case was here, Case was here, whatever. And they were looking for somebody to try to blame for this kid missing his watch, and they knew he was underage and they knew he was drunk, and they wanted to punish people to keep it from happening so that the command didn't look bad. And it doesn't matter if the person had anything to do with it or not. Like, they got to find somebody and make an example of them. So I didn't say nothing. And finally, I don't remember if it was the next day or the day after. It's been a long time ago. But they came in there and they pulled me out of class, and they're like, "Hey, we know that you were gone and you were doing this, whatever." And I was like, "Okay. Well, tell us what happened." I said, "It sounds like you already know." "Okay, all right, go back to class." Then another day or so goes by, and they have this little disciplinary review board. And they had a whole bunch of chiefs. They call it DRB. They had a whole bunch of chiefs sitting in there grilling people, trying to get them to fold over so they can molest them. And they called me in there, and it was Master Chief Watson. He goes, "Kate, we already know that you were at this bar, and we already know that this guy was at this bar." And there was like, I don't even remember, probably like 10 or 12 people that, from our command that was at that bar. It was a big ass bar too. Like, I mean, I'd run into people, I didn't even know what they were doing. Not that night, but I'm just saying. And he's like, "We know you did this, we know you did this, we know that." And I was like, "Okay. Well, tell us what you did." I said, "You already know." "Well, we need to hear your account." I said, "I don't have one." "All right, well, do you have a Bailey's cowboy hat?"
A Bailey's?
Yeah.
Bailey's, like
Bailey or Bailey, I can't remember what he said. Some shit.
Bailey's cowboy hat.
Yeah. And I was like, "No." He goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I don't." And everybody knew I always wore a cowboy hat back then. Everybody knew I always wore a cowboy hat.
When you weren't in uniform.
Yeah, sometimes in uniform.
Sometimes in uniform.
Yeah. But
and you actually rode a horse to high school.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. And you bought some cattle at age 17.
Yeah.
How many cattle?
I was going to be a cowboy.
You were going to be a cowboy.
Yeah,
and you rode
9 head the first time I bought cows. Yeah.
You rode Broncos, didn't you?
I rode broncs.
Yeah.
Broncs, bareback, rode bulls.
Rode bulls too.
Yeah.
Holy Moses. Freaking real man. Freaking real Texas man.
Done with man shit all the time.
Yeah, cool shit all the time, right? Always doing cool shit.
Trying at least.
Yeah.
I was. Now I just sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I said no. And he's just kind of sitting there scratching his head, looking at me, and so were the other 5 chiefs. They were sitting there just like, "What the hell's going on?" They're all convinced, like, "We know that Cates was there doing this stuff. We can see him in these videos."
The videos in the bar.
Yeah, they're like,
wearing that Bailey's cowboy hat.
And he's sitting here lying to us.
Yeah.
And they were trying to see if I was lying. And they kept asking, and I just kept answering the same, like, no. And they knew I wasn't lying, but they were confused.
They knew you weren't lying, but they knew something was wrong because they saw your ass in the...
They didn't know how to add 1 and 1.
Yeah.
They hadn't figured that out yet. They were still in the military.
Yeah.
So he goes, Master Chief, he was probably the smartest one there in that little meeting. He definitely had the most experience.
And which Master Chief was that?
Watson.
Master Chief Watson.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he goes, he's probably dead now.
You think so?
Oh yeah, he was old.
Who was in that meeting that would not be dead unless they got murdered or something?
Chief King.
Chief King?
He's a bitch.
He's a bitch. Yeah. And you look in the camera again and say that again.
You know you're a bitch.
Chief King the bitch.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
He was
funny.
cool at first, but man, he totally bitched out. Just like them New Mexico cops.
Yeah, the New Mexico
Those
cops
New Mexican state troopers.
with the gun, the
God.
governor's gun
Anyway.
protocol for the 30 days bullshit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'll follow all directives.
Yeah.
But no, he Master Chief caught on to what was going on, and he goes, oh, let me guess. It's a Stetson. And I said, hell no, I wouldn't wear that pile of shit. I wear Resistol.
You told him I wear a resistol?
Yeah. Then they figured out, all right, get the fuck out of here. And then that's when it's like, let's go to, first they wanted to send me to captain's mass. Then I said, I ain't doing that shit on shore duty. And then, all right, let's go to court martial.
Wait. What's captain's mast?
That's when the captain, he takes you up there in front of everybody and bends you over and takes advantage of you.
Okay, but what really is it?
They bust you down and take money from you.
Oh, okay, they bust you down and take money from you.
It's like the principal's office
Okay.
for the military.
Okay,
Except they pay you, so they take money.
Okay. All right, so then they went to
It's a
court martial.
one-sided thing.
So they didn't send you to this captain's mast deal.
They tried.
And how did you? Why did they fail, or what
They
happened?
didn't fail. They just tried to do it because you had the option.
Oh, you had the option.
You have the option to go to court martial when you're on shore duty. So I was TAD to shore duty at that time, so I chose court martial.
So court martial's like maybe a trial or something.
It was, yeah, court martial trial, yeah.
Okay. So then how did that go?
They won.
Well, but you prepared for it, didn't you?
I tried.
Didn't you read the whole frickin'
UCMJ, yeah.
UCMJ, the book?
I figured out what they were doing.
UCMJ, what does that stand for? Uniform Code of Military Justice. You read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Front to back? Probably a couple times.
I studied it.
You freaking knew it.
I studied. Maybe not everything, but I studied everything that had to do with what was going on.
Everything that had to do with what was going on.
Yep.
Okay, so how did that court martial come about? I mean, you waited for some time, or what happened?
Yeah, I waited. What they did was they said, all right, well, you're going to go to X Division. You're going to be a legal hold. And I stayed there for several months, like 9 or 10 months. And
didn't they have to get prepared?
They did, yeah. They had to make like a courtroom.
They had to build something.
Yeah, they literally made a whole section of this building into a courtroom for me, a court martial for me, and they brought in another commanding officer from a different command so he could be the judge, even though he was the chain off the boat, the mild seals on it. So bunch of it's all tied together. They're all working. You're going to lose. I figured that out.
Yeah.
Eventually.
But didn't you go see a lawyer about this?
I did. Yeah, I went and saw JAG lawyer in Corpus.
JAG lawyer, a Navy lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And
she called my command. You're supposed to be able to go over and tell them everything, right? And there's what do they call that stuff? Confidential.
Yeah, confidentiality between
attorney-client
attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Attorney-client privilege.
Like, you can tell me everything, whatever. And I was like, look, these dipshits are trying to get me in trouble for some shit this other guy did, and they're mad that I won't talk to them. And so she called my command, and then came back to me and it's like, well, what they're mad about is like, you just have to obey the chief, and you went against the chief. So you like, if you'll just say that you were there and take the blame for this guy doing this shit, then you'll go to Cat's Master and they'll drop it. And I'm like, I ain't taking the blame for shit I had nothing to do with. They're just mad that they couldn't get me to give in and to their will. And all right, I'll represent myself. And so I did. I represented myself in the court martial. I lost, but
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I still got out on good terms. Lieutenant Abrego ought to be watching this right now. I'm sure he still loves me. I'll never forget when he told me, Kate, you're like tuberculosis, killing me one breath at a time. I said, give me that shit, I'll sign it. I was just messing with him.
So there's a code on the DD4. And
There's lots.
They gave you an honorable discharge
Give me an honorable discharge, yeah.
with some secret freaking code.
I'm still trying to figure out what it means.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you didn't talk about.
I don't know why they did it. I won't, only they'll know why they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody can assume.
And you had nothing to do with the dude that lost his watch that night.
No,
you
he didn't stand it. He's the one that didn't stand it.
Yeah.
He's the one that didn't go to work.
But you didn't even know him. You weren't buddies with him. You didn't.
I'm not responsible for this knowhead.
Yeah. That's a sad situation.
For him.
Well, for everybody involved, because
I was fine.
you were fine.
I mean, yeah, things could have been easier. You know, I'd have had a little bit more money. They took, I think it was 2/3 of my pay for 2 months. It was 60 days in the brig.
60 days in the brig.
But
What'd they feed you?
I didn't eat.
What?
I told them bread and water's all I'd take.
You're kidding me. You told them bread and water.
I wouldn't eat. You push, but only so far.
How'd that go? I mean,
It went fine for me.
you just ate bread and water?
I ate the bread, drank the water.
You told them bread and water, and they obliged. They brought you bread and water, or they tried to
They
give you.
tried at first to get. They're like, "Well, you're not listening to us, so we're going to give you bread and water." I said, "That's all I want."
Holy Moses!
That was a punishment. Bread and water was a punishment.
So you ate bread and water for 60 days?
I didn't even eat that for 60 days. I didn't eat most of the time I was in there. I got down to 164 pounds.
From what do you go when you were before?
When I went, I was 188.
188. So in 2 months, 20 pounds.
About a month and a half, yeah.
No exercise.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the guards there, just like, they try to punish you and make you do all these inspections. And the funny thing is my uniform and myself looked 10 times better than any sailor that's ever walked the face of the earth. And there was no doubt about it. I would call them out for them looking like shit. And the thing was, I had nothing but time. All my uniforms were 100% perfect.
Yeah.
You couldn't get them any better. I used to iron 75-pound or 80-pound monofilament in my pleats, you know, and in my pants, so the creases would stand up.
Really?
Yeah, it'd melt in there.
No kidding.
I was always looking sharp.
Where you learn that trick?
I just did it.
Is it commonly known?
Sense.
Is it commonly known, or is
I
it
don't know. I just did it. I know it mono melts. You know, you get it hot, it melts, and so I was like, I'll just melt this shit together.
Wow. What else did you do in there?
What
you were still waiting for your court martial at that time.
But this was after the court martial. No, when I was waiting for the court martial, I was fishing.
Okay, you were fishing. You waited like 9 months for them to build
9 or 11 months.
Build your freaking court.
Yeah, they had to build a goddamn courtroom because the base was the thing was they were shutting the base down.
Okay.
And so they were trying to like get everybody out of there, and here they were trying to make special facilities just to hold this court martial because it was a little bitty base, and they didn't even have the facility to do it. They had talked about like I was going to have to go to Pensacola to do stuff. I was going to do this thing. I was going to have to go to the Kingsville, or we got to do all this shit. And I was like, hey, whenever y'all get it figured out, you just let me know. I'll be there. I'll keep collecting a check until y'all figure it out.
Wow. That's unreal.
Sorry that I took all you guys' money, but not really.
Yeah. Wow. So if you had to do it all over again,
I wouldn't change shit.
You wouldn't change shit, except for you wouldn't have gone in the Navy.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise it. but it's not. But for me, possibly. For somebody else, I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, everybody's different.
Yeah. Well, that's a very interesting story, so I appreciate you telling us, man. That's Kevin the Texas Welder, and we'll catch him sometime later with some other story. Very interesting man we got here on the camera. Thank you, Kevin.
No problem, man.
All right, take care.